Sales funnels are a key part to any sales-oriented organization's success. It's a critical part of designing your process and executing on what your sales strategy is. So when we look at sales funnels, one of the most important things that you want to start with is figuring out how you want to categorize the different parts of the process in your sale. So, for example, there's always three key elements to a sales funnel. One is prospecting and targeting. So how do you target the prospects that you're trying to go after? And the next one would be engagement. So how are you engaging those prospects into the process? And then finally, the close. So how are you closing the deals and ultimately getting paid? So each of those categories, each of those sections will have subcategories. So for example, in the close section, you might have three different areas that you have to focus on. One is getting a verbal commitment. Right? You've had a meeting, now you need a verbal commitment that they're going to move forward. The second thing might be getting a signed deal. And the third thing, which would be the payment. Right? Now all those three things are important to happen, but sometimes sales can get abandoned through one of those three final steps of the close. In engagement, you might be looking at how many meetings you'll have to have in order to close a typical deal and how you're going to take those prospects through that process. So this is where you need to have a fundamental, thoughtful approach to how you're putting together your sales funnel. But here's where most companies really drop the ball. It's actually not about the design of the sales funnel. What that ultimately does, what the funnel ultimately does, is it creates a focus so that you can have a disciplined, consistent approach to each sale. Where most entrepreneurs and businesses fall down is they design this beautiful sales funnel. They get everything fundamentally thought through as far as how it will work. And then when it comes to executing, it falls down. So one example might be on email or LinkedIn or some other digital platform where there's digital communication. One of the things that I notice a lot is that I get a lot of pitches, I get a lot of sales-oriented messages in my inbox. But what they do, and they probably have a sales funnel designed, they probably have a sales funnel put together. And then they've ignored it and sent me a message that tries to disingenuously tell me that they hope all is going well right now. And then they move into some sort of automated cut and paste, this is what I do. And then it goes into, this is how I'm going to solve all of your problems. And then it moves into some sort of call to action in hopes that I'll close a deal from reading that message. So we think of this thoughtful process of how it is that we're going to take a prospect through to a sale, and then we abandon it, we send them a message in hopes that we're just going to close that deal in that one message. And in B2B in particular, it just doesn't work. So what you have to make sure of is if you're going to spend the time and effort in designing a sales funnel, you put just as much, actually exponentially more effort into the execution. Make sure that when you are doing a sale, when you're going through a process in your sales process, you have one objective at each step of the funnel, and that is to get that prospect to the next step. What you don't want to do is try and get them from step one, which is targeting your prospect, all the way to step 6 or 7 or 8, which is the close, because you're not going to do it in one step. So make sure that if targeting your prospect is migrating it to engagement through a meeting, then the first objective is just to get to that meeting. It's not to qualify the prospect. You can do that in the meeting. It is not to make sure that you close a deal. You can do that later in the process. Sometimes we have to accept the reality of what the process is. We can make the process improved. We can make it work a little bit faster. We can be a little bit more thorough. We can be a little bit more consistent, more disciplined. However, the objective in a sales funnel should always be on executing to get to the next level of the funnel. And focus on that. Those activities will generate a lot more sales in the long run.